Hello everybody, welcome to Planet FPL Live 4. James, today we're recording
God, you're
in
loud.
person. Yeah, that's what my wife says. What we didn't know when we planned Planet FPL Live 4, which would be
pleased that
our
someone's making you happy.
fourth live event, there'd also be a meeting for kind of the emotional support group. The first ever meeting of the Planet FPL emotional support group, because you said to me, now we can pick this Sunday. Loads of people are going to have Villa players. Loads of people are going to have Liverpool players. It's a really big FPL day. Everyone's going to score loads of points, and we can record a show afterwards. So,
Anyone got any points?
So
literally anybody.
So,
39. I want to hear. No.
I heard Mark Southern's picked up 3. Let's give him that.
You got
He's probably
3
the happiest
points?
person. 3 points. Nottingham Forest.
Oh.
Boom, boom, 3 points. I think he's probably the only person here who's got anything
It's
of
3
any
more than
value.
some certain teams this week.
Yes,
Good evening
indeed.
to the Arsenal fans. I've got to be careful. I'm south of the river. I can't be saying that here, can I?
Yeah, in with the low blows. Yeah, 9 games into the week already. It's not been a high-scoring week for you or for me yet. You still have 3 Spurs to go tomorrow. I have 1 to go tomorrow in sunny. And I'm not too optimistic, to be honest. I reckon most people have got more than 1.
Tomorrow night?
Yes.
Still to go. Just quick show of hands. Anyone got none tomorrow? Ooh. Is anybody all out? Si, what's your score? You don't know. Yeah, that's one of my correspondents. Yeah, that'll be correct. Yeah. So, how have you finished, Suj?
At the moment,
so far?
At the moment, I'm on 31.
Yep.
Which is actually it's a green arrow. I'm shocked.
Who's got the party poppers?
It's a green arrow. I had Bowen first bench though, so when you have a player from your own team who scores a goal and you first benched him, that's not good. I only made the one move, which was to sell Luis Diaz. I had 2 free transfers, so I had to make one move, otherwise I'm going to be burning a transfer. I thought, I really didn't know where to go from Luis Diaz, and I didn't want to take the risk of him not starting, which he didn't. And thought the best 1 week punt would be Phil Foden, who didn't start as well. But both came on and scored. So in the end...
you sold one player who scored for another player who's sub and scored?
Yeah, exactly that.
Okay, cool.
And now I've got Foden instead of Diaz. I don't feel any different either way. Just another 7.5 midfielder.
Other than the fact City have got more difficult fixtures than Liverpool.
Well, yeah, but City scored 6 yesterday. Liverpool struggled to draw with Luton today. So I'm happy having Foden in there. But I've still got 2 free transfers, and it's good. It's an ongoing problem where I don't have any difficulties in my team. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing next week. I think a lot are in that
position. Like you probably would have rolled this week if you only had 1.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what I think a lot of people ended up doing this week. Because this week, and I think particularly those who obviously wild-carded in 10 will look great for 12. So I know that Mark was talking about that on Black Box. Like, I don't really know what I want to do in my team, and then you start thinking outside the box. Well, should I do something rogue for the sake of doing something rogue? So
even like just fixing Lamptey, who's sitting there flagged, and God knows when he's going back. But I don't even want to do that because I don't even know what we talked about it. Like, what am I going to do? Buy Charlie Taylor or Lascelles, who might be the same problem. Plenty of people have had to go into their benches as well this week. I think we need to give a shout out to Nico. So. I
bet he's got Kabore and Archer on the bench, I bet, hasn't he?
No, he had Kabore. At one point, he had Kabore coming in for Shimikas.
Oh.
Kabore got an assist. Kabore had the clean sheet and the assist, and it looked like, okay, Shimikas is not going to come on. It would have been the auto sub of the game week, and obviously Shimikas came on and got a 1-pointer, so no. But a lot of people were going deep into their benches. Oh, fireworks.
Katy Perry's here.
But where are you at with your week?
29, which somehow is a green arrow. I was shitting myself before that Liverpool game with no Salah, just thinking I'm going to be sitting up here looking like a complete melon. I just look like a melon rather than a complete one.
Yeah, you're probably in the same way you're licking your lips before the Villa game, though, with 2 of them at least.
No, I think most people probably have Watkins and Cash anyway, so there wasn't a lot of gain there. I knew I was behind on Liverpool assets. On 29, I'm a little bit of a green. I'm about 40k up to about 730, I think, at the moment, with 3 players to go from the only unbeaten team in the Premier League, Suj.
Yes. Oh. I can't even say anything. You're sitting top of the league. My team lost yesterday. You can't even...
I'm not top of the league. I'm second.
City jumped you. Fair play, yeah. But fingers crossed you get the result tomorrow that you want.
Hope so.
Have you started planning the next game week or not?
I've had a lot of playing around last night on FPL team, looking at a few things. I think most people who have Haaland probably naturally started looking around at other things because obviously we know he went off with an ankle knock. Plus, I think obviously with Bournemouth, yes, FPL Sponge sitting right at the front in his Bournemouth shirt, and he was in the away end yesterday, bless him, and captained Haaland, so he couldn't even enjoy that bit of it.
Yeah.
It's like a trifecta near Darwin Núñez's misses, wasn't it? I think most would have looked at alternatives, so I had a look at alternatives. This week now, with City's next 4 against Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, Villa, feels like the next point where you could jump off. My intention currently wouldn't be to do so, as long as he's fit. Obviously, if he is injured and I've not got Salah, then that's obviously going to happen with 2-3 transfers in. But the intention would be to stick on the path. Obviously, looked at alternatives in terms of getting towards Mo, which I would like to do at some point because it's the glaring problem in my team. But the one thing I keep coming back to and looking at is when I try and force him in, my team looks worse.
Yep.
Every time. And I think I'm probably in a position where I've ended up on a small green with the Tottenham boys to go because of the competitive nature of the way I've picked my squad with basically 8 attackers. And getting the big decision right this week, which was playing Mitoma and Bowen, who both returned over Saka. So quite happy.
Finding money for Salah is a problem for people that don't have him. Like, where are you going to make the sacrifice? So my premiums, I would look at downgrading Trippier, but then he brings in a 9-pointer yesterday. And you're like, oh yeah, maybe he's worth it. So I don't really want to sell him because he keeps chipping away. I know he had the donut last week in 0, but before that, if you look at his returns, it's so consistent. So I don't want to sell Trippier. Haaland being injured, I think makes a lot of people's lives
he'll be
easier.
fine.
So it doesn't make anybody's life easier because we can't get
a lot
Salah.
of us will have Haaland. A lot of us will have Matty Cash, who's potentially gone off with a knock today as well. We think probably neither case is serious. I imagine if the City game had been 0-0, Haaland probably would have carried on. And in the case of Cash, it looks like he's carried on playing for a little bit today. So probably not serious, but that's enough to make me think, yeah, there's no early transfers. I think the transfer I had in mind before the game week started was probably Alvarez to Nketiah. And then look at what I was going to do with the other one. Because as I'm set for next week, I'll be benching Alvarez anyway. If I buy Nketiah, I'm probably benching Maddison at Wolves.
Oh, yeah.
I know, it's dirty.
Yeah, I think a lot of people with selection headaches. Should we talk about some of these games?
Yes,
We've had 9 games in so far. Obviously, just the 2 games today, 7 yesterday. Plenty to get through.
They were all shit, except your game was quite enjoyable.
It was, well, first half was entertaining. I wouldn't go so much as to say the second half was enjoyable.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we've got quite a few games to get through, but yeah, like you said, there wasn't a lot to set the world alight, even from fantasy points point for you. But Fulham 0, Manchester United 1. Yeah, anybody that held, I think the Harry Maguire points are more impressive than getting Bruno Fernandes points, if anyone's got him.
Harry Maguire was great yesterday. Whether he should have been on the pitch,
they're just
under the circumstance.
There's something bizarre looking at a Manchester United lineup at the end of 2023 with centre-backs of Maguire and Evans. It just feels
Can anybody
wrong.
fathom out why Varane didn't play? Does anybody?
There must be something behind the scenes. There must be something.
But then he still
scenes.
used him, didn't he? So it seems like a really strange way. It must be said, genuinely, Maguire played really well. The reason I said should he have been there is because of the concussion at the start of the game.
They did have to check it a few times, didn't they?
And I think it's concerning. Even the referee at one point stopped the game, didn't he, to get him checked out again in the second half. I stand by my opinion of don't buy Man United. I guess there'll be a temptation there with Luton at home this week. But my argument always against this coming week was most of us are looking at game week 12 and in a good position anyway.
Yep.
Whatever path you're on, you'll have enough coverage of teams like Arsenal, Villa, Liverpool, those teams who all did great this weekend, and look at game week 12 and think it looks great. So, I mean, would I force in a Bruno Fernandes? I just think I'd be selling him again in a couple of weeks. The goal is
I'd rather buy Arsenal midfielder, because if you're thinking about price point, 8.3.
Selling an Arsenal player playing Burnley.
Buy an Arsenal player at 8 point something, let's say Saka, Odegaard, Odegaard fitness permitting, rather than Bruno Fernandes. 8.3 for him isn't enough. I'd even rather buy Martinelli, although he stung me 2 weeks in a row in Sky by not returning. But I'd still rather buy him than Bruno, because they're 2 home games. They've got Bournemouth, and then who's after that?
I mean, would you rather have, just as a hypothetical, would you rather have Son at Wolves and then against Villa's high line, or Fernandes against Luton at home and Everton away?
I think I'd have half the midfielders in the league over Bruno Fernandes in my team, to be honest with you. So I don't know if it's a fair question.
That was a rather large laugh. No, I wouldn't be going now. I think we have to talk about the Marcus Rashford situation, because I'd like to acknowledge that I think it's probably not a situation. So he was spotted going to a nightclub, I think, after the Manchester derby
It's his birthday,
last
man.
week. Was it his birthday as well? I didn't know that.
Birthday.
Happy birthday, Marcus.
Does that change your opinion on it?
No, not at all. I think he's allowed to...
I think it's your birthday. Man's allowed to go out on his birthday.
Man's allowed to go out whenever he wants. He can afford it anyway.
Yeah.
He travelled, right? So, and he was part of the squad. We'd heard murmurs in a couple of hours before deadline that there was doubt about him. I think if there had been a falling out, he wouldn't have even been there, right? When the whole Sancho thing happened, he never took Sancho to Arsenal, did he? So I don't think... I think it's an easy one to make a narrative that there might be a problem there, and I don't think there is from that perspective. And I think he'll probably be back in the team next week. And despite winning, it's obviously an important victory for United. It's their 6th win out of 11. But all only won by 1 goal, and I think they're all fixtures we'd have expected them to win. So they're only in a position that's kind of the best of the worst of they've been, in the sense that they've largely been shit, but they've beat some other shit teams, which is why they're in an okay position. I saw someone tweet today, United are only 6 points behind Arsenal. Yeah, mate, at your current rate, you're going to end up at 22 points behind. Like, it's not.
It's true, we are like just over a quarter of the season.
It's not anything to celebrate about. And United's performance wasn't anything to celebrate.
But I suppose the point is not that's
they
the
defended
gap.
well.
It's if they turn it around and start playing better, then maybe they can close that gap. And it's like we're here playing shit, and you're there playing the best you can.
Do you think?
Although that's arguable.
Do you think Maguire stays in the team now? I think he probably does now.
Yeah. Maguire, yes. Johnny Evans, no.
And it looks good for the next 2, but afterwards,
but I don't think it will
how
take
often you'd pick him.
More than one mistake or one bad game before they'll get rid of him straight away.
People
will jump on him after just one mistake, man.
Best player on the pitch by a distance was our old mate, João Paulinho, except it was absolutely his error, which was, as highlighted on Match of the Day last night by Martin Keown, about the 8th error in the move. He's got to clear his lines better than that. He had a couple of opportunities. There's a shame because he played really, really well. There is a couple of Fulham players, I think, actually, to keep an eye on. I've got Tim Ream in mind a little bit, and he's 4.5. Anthony Robinson's cheaper, is like 4.4. But with Kene Tete coming back, I think I would have a little bit of concern about that. And I possibly want a defender for 13, 16 and 18. And Ream's got, it's Wolves at home 13, West Ham at home 16, Burnley at home 18. So if I did have to use him in those 3 weeks, I think Fulham could be considered. Many of you who watch some of my streams will know I keep mentioning Rodrigo Muniz a lot.
Get the money.
I predicted the start. Finally got it. 4.4 forward. Went off the pitch crying, unfortunately, with injury. I don't know if that was just looking at Harry Maguire's mug for most of the game. But yeah, went off injured, so we can't chase that one at the moment. But if he was fit, I think Jimenez and Carlos Vinicius have done so little that the opportunity was going to be there for him. And as I said, I think particularly whatever strategy you're on, they've got Burnley at home in 18. So I do think they're a team that won't stay far from our thinking.
Yep. Let's talk about Brentford 3, West Ham 2. Oh, shit.
Any Mbeumo,
it's all right when you're sitting in a room with no one else that you can talk about it. And when you're in a room full of...
Any Mbeumo owners here? It must be some. Yeah, you're actually probably the unluckiest people this week.
Yeah, the number of efforts.
Outstanding.
His shooting boots. He just didn't have his shooting boots on because he had the number of shots that were just kind of foot or foot and a half past the post and didn't quite get it right. But yeah, he was terrorising Emerson down the left. They both kind of a lot of niggle against each other going both ways. Quite a lot of fouls between the two of them. But a game of two halves. I said to you before when we were in the morning, I was like, okay, have a guess at the possession stats in the first half. 65-35 in Brentford's favour. And West Ham are winning 2-1. Second half goes to 50-50 and we lose it 2-0. But the same thing against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. 65-35 in their favour. And we won that game. Same against Brighton. This is weird. Like, this is now, if you want West Ham to win a game of football, we have to go in not wanting the football.
So.
It's like, if we, I can tell you, if we have more than 40% possession, we will lose the game. Apart from the one game, which was Sheffield United.
So
Sheffield United, who are that
serious,
bad,
your fixture run. I've got you top over the next 7 on my FDR because the fixture run is good, bar the visit to, who's unbeaten. Yeah, that's us. So should we be avoiding your assets then?
We're not attacking. I think we'll score in any game. We can score goals in any game. I wouldn't touch it defensively. Like I'm got Areola, and it's a bit of a problem. Like one clean sheet all season, which is Sheffield United.
It's the penalty save against Chelsea has made his returns look much better,
and his price as well. You can't disregard the fact that he was 4.0 and is now still only 4.2, which makes it kind of stomachable, but rubbish.
Now,
we haven't got clean sheets. But Zuma didn't play yesterday, so that doesn't help defensively. Yeah. And no Alvarez as well, so defensively it was a bit of a problem. And that was it. I thought before the game, defence is the best form of attack. And once we were 2-1 up, if it had gone 3-1 and Antonio hadn't fluffed his lines or let the ball go to Benrahma or done what he did, I'm really anti-Antonio.
So just had enough of Mikel Antonio.
Yeah. It's always because we're in front of audience people. I don't want to call him out and be mean. I don't want to be mean to him.
You clapped the booing of your own player, Shamil Galani. I'm calling you out.
No, he's just not good enough right now. He's not good enough. Yeah, and I don't know a West Ham fan who thinks he is, and then you kind of wonder, well, what's the manager see that we don't see? What does he see that or know that we don't know? Because you can see it with your eyes each and every week. But Brentford will be super happy, right? They're obviously come off the back of some difficult results recently to come back and win really well. And they were good in the second half. Like I think in the second half, we didn't have a chance. We didn't create anything. But Bowen is still gettable. Right? If you're talking about a talisman, 60% of goals he's involved with, at least.
A couple of questions for you then. If you had to invest in one of the defensive players, Soufal's 4.6 and the other's 4.5, if you weren't on Areola, because I don't think you'd want to go double.
If you had to invest in one of the defensive players.
It's everything under consideration.
Who's a 4.0 that you can put third bench? It goes to have a look now. Who's a 4.0 West Ham defender?
There isn't one.
Yeah, fine. Then yes.
There might be. I don't know. Is there?
Excuse me.
Wow, how fucked are you? No, there isn't one. Okay, that's boring.
Ben Johnson, 4.4. Right. Cheap as you're going to get.
But so you're saying don't go near West Ham?
Yeah, defensively.
Okay,
defensively, don't go near West Ham. Attacking, Bowen is clear talisman to stand out.
Should many people here will own Areola? Should the people need to start thinking about it then? Surely not.
If I go into Gameweek 12, I've got money in the bank, 0.7, and I really don't want to fix anything anywhere else, I might just do it. Ditch him. If I really feel like it's just I don't want to go anywhere else, I might ditch him. It's a definite
key. I think it's worth considering as well. Your fixtures haven't been great.
Yeah, I get that.
And that's part why there's a lack of clean sheets. I mean, you have to learn how to defend crosses. Some header from Mavropanos.
Have to stop making mistakes. Just stop making mistakes.
But it's not how we would think West Ham would concede goals, conceding 3 balls from crosses.
Well, isn't that the problem? You've got a defensive manager who can't teach his players to defend.
It's contradiction because you say, we don't want the ball, we're better without it. But then if you let the opposition go wide and across the ball, you're in trouble that way as well. The
difference between the first 4 or 5 weeks was we didn't make many mistakes then. We just defended better. We didn't make many mistakes, and now every game, whether it's a Ged giving away a stupid penalty or Alvarez kicking out and giving away a penalty or Mavropanos scoring an own goal, we always make mistakes.
So why are those mistakes happening now?
I don't know.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Bowen or Kudus?
Lack of concentration. It's lack of concentration.
Do you know what was going to help you move that on? Bowen or Kudus?
Bowen.
Why?
Bowen. Shams, how many beers in to get both? I don't know. No, I don't think I would go 2. I
don't think I would have benched him this week, but
Arsenal midweek both played and Antonio didn't. Bowen was central. Kudus coming off the right a little bit more. Antonio came back in. Bowen was more higher up top.
You played 4-4-2.
Yeah, Bowen's now going to be more and more becoming a striker, which makes him more attractive at 7.4. And Kudus is still all right.
But Kudus now is going to stay in this team, isn't he? Yeah, somewhere.
So if he doesn't, that's...
Kudus played on the right. Benrahma played left. Yeah. Bowen played right of Antonio. They played as a front two. Ward-Prowse and Soucek in midfield together. So presumably Alvarez will come back in for Soucek.
Yeah.
you would think.
Paqueta for Ben Rama.
And Paqueta for Ben Rama. And did that system stick? I'm not convinced. I feel like, I'll tell you why I think it might have been a one-off, is your record against them has been so bad. You've lost all 5 games against them. And I watched all this game back last night because Sky rerun it. I think the Brentford spent the first third of the game really confused that you changed and done something different to what we'd expect from West Ham. So I think it might have been a one-off. I wouldn't go with the narrative of Bowen's definitely through the middle now. It might stick. It might also stick that Bowen plays through the middle as a lone front man.
But with Bowen, it doesn't matter, does it? Whether he's playing off the right or he's playing through the middle, he's picking up points consistently. He's good value at 7.4. There's no one else.
Would you rather buy Kudos or Mitoma?
Mitoma.
Why?
Well, this is... I like to buy good players from good teams, right? Let's just keep it simple with FPL. Good players from good teams.
Brighton haven't won in 5.
Yeah, but it depends how far back do you want to zoom out to say whether this is a good team or a shit team. So you could go look at Spurs and look at the last 12 weeks and say you're a good team. You could look back at the last 12 years and say you're a shit team. What's the zoom lens? So Brighton, are we looking at 4 weeks?
That's so rich for a West Ham fan, I swear.
Yeah. But you can look at Brighton and say 4 weeks, they've been a bit shit. But you can look back at 4 months and say they've been really good. They've been better than West Ham consistently over a long period of time, and their XG is ridiculous. They just create so many chances.
West Ham don't.
So, they're in a bad patch. But I would have more faith in them turning it around over a longer period. So I'd go Mitoma.
So you're saying at the moment, don't buy West Ham?
Bowen's still gettable. That's pretty much it. I wouldn't buy anyone else.
Jared Bowen's going nowhere for me.
Yeah.
And I would consider one of those defensive players because the fixtures are really good. And if I walked into a problem where I wanted, say Mitoma did get injured, Kudos at similar value would come straight into my thinking. Because the fixtures are so good.
I'll answer your question just with a sensible answer. I'd buy Emerson probably because he gets further forward the most.
And also, he's on the other end of his suspension now, but did get booked again yesterday, didn't he?
That's the other thing, yellow cards.
On Brentford, as said, and Mbumo was outstanding.
He was decent.
They obviously changed, as we would expect, in a game where they're going to have more of the ball to a back 4-4-3-3. Neil Maupay scored for the first time since scoring against West Ham.
I think it's 32 games ago or something stupid like that.
Yeah, I think it's about 35 games.
Wow.
Yeah. 35 games and I think
I'd still
14 months.
I'd swap him for Antonio. Free transfer.
You wouldn't. Maupay's cheap. He's 4.9, but probably won't play the next 2 because it's Liverpool away and Arsenal at home. I'd also have a consciousness about Aaron Hickey's got a hamstring injury. Thomas Frank said he'd probably be out till at least the new year, which on top of Rico Henry's issue, leaves them without both their first choice fullbacks. What they did yesterday was cover it off with Vitaly Janelt played left back. That'll probably stick. In the tougher games, I think they'll go back 5. Roslev will come back in. It does mean there's a couple of players potentially to keep an eye on further forward. I think Jensen will have more responsibility to go forward and cover because Janelt is one that can break into the box. And on Yeka, I think it was 4.9 such. He'll probably play that position regularly going forward now. If people are... I've had a look at a few plans recently and it's like, shit, I'm 0.1 short of Palmer or Adingra. So you do start looking down a little bit more. He might be a player once we hit 15 to maybe keep an eye on for a little bit.
So we're at Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 2. So that's, I think, 8 home defeats in a row in the Premier League for Burnley. Dating back to last time they were in the Premier League, James. So not good for them.
First promoted team to ever lose their first 6 at home.
Yeah. I don't want to stick the boot into Burnley, but we've got to give Rory Hodgson a bit of credit as well.
Where's Rory? Yes, mate. Well done, pal.
Where's Steve-O? Sorry.
So Burnley had, I think, 17 shots. Crystal Palace had 4.
Yeah.
And yet Palace had a higher XG.
It's quality of chances.
Quality of chances, yeah. Absolutely that. And for Burnley, unfortunately, we are in a cycle now where it is repetitive of defensive errors. We've got any Sky Fantasy managers in the house? Yeah. Jordan Bayer's back. He played at centre-back, so Alder Kill's out now instead. We don't know how long.
Jordan Bayer's back. Lord Foster isn't talking about Sky.
Jordan Bayer's back. They played Dara O'Shea with him at centre-back. I was surprised Connor Roberts didn't come back in for Vitinho. at right back. They'd missed Josh Cullen, who was suspended, so they played it a bit flatter in midfield. They played Amdouni behind Rodriguez because Lyle Foster's illness is not a short-term illness, apparently, and he's not going to be available for the trip to the Emirates next week either. The problem with them, Burnley, you look at, say, Luton, what we've watched together today, you absolutely know what you're getting with them. And it feels like with Burnley, like you know what you're going to get in terms of what they want to do, but they can't stop the problem at the other end. If you had one of them two teams defending the lead, you'd trust Luton way more than Burnley.
Yep.
And arguably you trust Sheffield United more as well. So unless they stop what's happening at the back, which they're going to find difficult, then unfortunately they're going to continue to have bad results. I was speaking to Neil Grover, our Bournemouth correspondent, earlier, and basically saying if Bournemouth hadn't started so badly, we'd probably all be sitting here thinking those 3 promoted teams are already dead.
Yeah. Obviously, Sheffield United picked up some points yesterday, but there is a clear divide. There's lines within the league getting drawn.
And there's
already.
There's one between 17th and 16th, clearly.
Yeah, at the moment.
How twatted are you, mate?
Palace, on the other hand.
Film this geezer. Oh, you're going to regret that.
Come on, tell me about Everton, Luton, West Ham, Bournemouth.
Oh, no, hold up. Eze's back.
Hey! That's what I'm talking about,
Yep,
Palace,
tried.
mate. That's what I'm talking about, Palace, mate. Everton,
So would you go
Luton.
Kudos or Eze?
I'd go Eze.
Because Palace have got great fixtures as well.
All day long.
They obviously went with an unchanged team from the defeat against the only unbeaten team in the league the week before. But Eze will come back in. Did Edouard pick up a problem, Rory, at the end? No. So I did hear some rumours that he might have. Jordan Ayew, since I said if I think of Richarlison as my own Jordan Ayew, hasn't stopped scoring since. Not that Richarlison has started, but Eze will certainly come into the team. There's no doubt about that, and is the one to keep an eye on. If you're really short of money, I don't think Ayew's a terrible gamble in terms of his consistency, but I don't know why you would pay that much over Adingra or Palmer. Sam Johnston.
Gordon even is cheaper,
Sam
isn't he?
Johnston absolutely coming clutch for me, mate. That's why I've got a green arrow.
Yeah, a 7-pointer again.
9, please.
Is it 9 points
you.
in the end?
Yeah,
that's annoying. He's
Gay and
your
Anderson.
saviour so far.
The opinion's still the same on Gay Anderson. Pay for the cheaper one. It's absolutely how I feel. I don't think I ever contribute enough offensively to make me think it's worth the difference. Would go for Gay. Don't be getting excited about Tyreek Mitchell. Go on, Rory, shout it. 5 clean sheets. That's most in the league now, isn't it? As long as Chelsea don't score tomorrow night. Yeah, most clean sheets in the league. I can't think ever that I feel like I've got the right goalkeeper decision at the start of an FPL season.
But you do this year.
Why am I going to... I know everyone else on Areola and you would not move that, but I'm very happy with what I've got, and they've got good fixtures. So, yeah, he's sticking. I'll play him every week now, too. I think sort of game week 16, it gets rough for Palace.
15,
Next
16,
5 are good. I think I'll play him in all of them.
Then they've got Liverpool. They're going to Liverpool, City, Brighton as a 3. Yeah. So you'd move him on, or you got Turner, and obviously we'll talk about him, but he's lost his place now.
Robert Sanchez. This is exactly when Chelsea's good run comes around.
Right. Yep, that's a fair shout. Everton won, Brighton won. You talked about Brighton not being a good team at the moment. They're struggling, they're stuttering, and you
know I don't mean that.
In love with Roberto De Zerbi. So
I was, but I got this big Australian now, so I'm not so bothered.
You move on fast.
I know, it's true. Please don't tell my wife.
Oh, mate. Actually, to be fair, I hadn't ever particularly thought about it, but end of last season, before Ange came, probably average mentions of De Zerbi per podcast would be like at least 8 to 10. And it is down to one.
I still love him. I still think he's absolutely destined for the top.
So why is he struggling right now?
He's struggling because I think that football team at the moment is struggling to come to terms with playing twice a week. Now, admittedly, they've just obviously come off a week where they haven't, but I think that explains some of the results. Yesterday, they played against a real out-and-out low block. Where's Sam, our Brighton correspondent? He's here. Hello, pal. We were speaking earlier. I looked about 4:15, and Brighton had 83% possession, and the XG had been about 0.2.
Yeah.
Now, Everton, we knew what Everton were going to do because it worked so well against Brighton in May.
Yeah. And the week before, the same thing they did against us.
And I think it's an unusual one where you'd probably get home crowds in that instance would probably think, well, you're too defensive, go and press and get out. But because they all saw it work at Brighton in May, that's probably helpful from that perspective. So I think they've obviously had injury issues as well. You take losing Solly March. It's probably not coincidental, to be honest, that the bad results have come about with Pervis Estupiñán's injury, which was, halfway through the Villa game as well. He's close. He's one to keep an eye on. What have we got, Sam, timeline? Do we know? No, it's Estupiñán. Can you speak up? I need to...
Yeah, after the international break, says Sam.
But that's useless because I might want him this week, mate. So, no, I don't want him this week. Is he below
5 million? Yeah.
Well, he will be, won't he? So he's the most sold player in the game, but still at his starting price. Again, they've got good long-term fixtures. I think Sam would probably agree. You couldn't invest in any other Brighton defensive player at the moment. You just got to a point where you thought, Julio's playing regularly at 4.3. No, the goalkeepers change every week. It would still be a Dinger or Mitoma. I think a few will have gone for João Pedro. You know what the headache's going to be every single week. Do you think he's going to play? And you know the game, and you're definitely playing him this week because of the fixture.
He's still at 20% ownership in the game. That's pretty incredible.
Well, you know how many dead teams there are, don't you? Well, I think there's probably more than that. But
it's answered that question. Not all of them are in the Patreon Zombie League, James.
No, true. For Everton, quietly, interestingly, they've got their players back fit and results are beginning to improve. Onana was a late withdrawal and they missed him from the game. But Calvert-Lewin being fit is big for them. And I know a few people mentioned to me on my stream on Saturday about Jack Harrison. I preferred Decore if you want to go down that route, but in all honesty, I don't know why you would. Yeah,
what was the stat you had the other day? Most runs into the box or something?
No, I mean, it was the highest scoring player owned by 1%. And I think...
that's the one.
I'm sure Mr. Southerns is here somewhere. He'll correct me on... But he's got a much higher proportion of shots than you would expect for his position. So, and they have had relatively easy fixtures. You have to remember that when you're looking at the data of Everton. He does get tougher, but the next couple are okay. What have they got next weekend, Everton? Palace, isn't it? Palace away, then United at home. So, yeah, it's reasonable, but you're not going to go there. Evan Ferguson, I think, might be one that might grow in popularity as a punt this week. Purely because a number of the forwards have obviously just blanked, Haaland, Nketiah, Alvarez, Watkins. And if, say, Ferguson doesn't start on Thursday, I think it might be one, because they're playing Sheffield United, might gain a little bit of traction as a one-week punt. And so many of you are set up so well that you can consider this sort of thing at the moment.
Yeah, I'd still prefer maybe... It wouldn't be for a one-week punt, but I had more eyes on, from a forward transfer point of view, Darwin. Even though he was just frustrating as hell today. I'd rather find a way, because Ferguson's cheaper than all of my forwards, and so I'd only use it if I needed to find money. Would I go Evan Ferguson? Then I'm not.
I think those who go Pedro, chances are you get stuck.
Yeah.
Because you think, he's cheap enough, I can bench it, but you have the headache and the will and the want to play him every week because you know what it could be. You know if he's on the pitch and they get a pen, he's highly likely to take her as well. They did change back to a back four. I think the back three they'd used against Fulham does look like it was a one-off. James Milner covered at left back on this occasion.
Man City 6, Bournemouth 1. Yeah, we're talking about Doku. James, you owned him to about 2 weeks ago. That's got to be pain, surely.
At least we didn't own Alvarez to go with the Haaland captaincy blank.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
I had Foden as well, and he did kind of
so many people saying, "Oh my God, has James still got Doku?" And I'm thinking, why don't you fucking listen to me this week, man? Like, basically all you're doing is you're telling me you didn't listen to last week's podcast, and that just upsets me.
I was watching our game, but I was checking the scores on the others, and it went from 0-0 to 3-0 in between my every 10-minute kind of check-in. So as soon as you see the 3-0, did the same thing as everybody else is. You count your points, and there was none. Then, obviously, I'd seen before the game that Phil Foden had been benched, which was my transfer in, which was quite frustrating. But by half-time, I then thought, at half-time, Bowen had scored and Foden hadn't started. So I was thinking, now I'll keep Foden off the pitch because I'll get my Bowen points. But then he came on for Haaland at half-time. I thought, it's half an hour still. plenty good. Now, and in reality,
do you know how many minutes there are in a half?
Doku's 22 points should have been more, right? You got giving that goal to Akanji.
I mean, his shot's going wide.
It is.
No
I get
choice.
it's Akanji's goal, but
Played it off his back.
a back.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm surprised he didn't spend 10 minutes checking for handball.
Yeah.
Mind you, it's City though, isn't it? So
Oil money.
I can't not think of Adam. I've got to get it out the way. It's the best hit I've ever seen. Adam from Above Average and his -8.
Oh.
Shout out to them boys. They're live streaming about 8:30 tonight. Great guys.
Okay. Yeah,
Adam's -8 is going to go down.
Violin music.
There's a lot of Above Average love. Love that.
Yeah.
Adam's -8 is going to go down in folklore. So he sold Trippier.
Yes, 9 points.
Who else was the other midfielder he sold?
Doku.
And who else was
Put him up on Twitter.
who was the other player
Someone's gonna.
but he bought Shimikas, Foden and Szoboszlai. But obviously just Ward-Prowse, thank you. But obviously Doku for the -8. And that's mad unlucky. I was messaging him this morning. I said, I want to take the piss out of it because I would have done it.
What's the net?
I wouldn't have not sold him because I wouldn't have thought he'd have started.
What's the net loss on that?
Something like that.
So his net loss is more than most people in this room's total score.
That is Adam. Shout out.
I feel
Love
for the
you,
guy.
Mate. I know he would take that in good spirit.
Of course, man. This is a game. That's the main thing. Is you got to remember, right?
Here's
a game.
the thing. This is what happens.
Yeah.
Points equal. Buy. Shall I go and buy Doku now? Is anybody here think they're buying Doku? No. There you go.
He's going to end up being the new Riyad Mahrez, isn't he? Where when he plays, he fucking tears it up, and all of us are just too shit scared that he's never going to get in the team.
I owned him. I punted him in for the Forest and Wolves games, and obviously the Forest game became a bit of a shambles because Rodri got sent off. Then Wolves obviously they had a bad day without Rodri. He ended up sticking for me. I made the decision to play him over Mitoma when they played Brighton. Remember what I said to you on the Monday? Like, how has he only got 6 points out of that?
Yep.
So the capability of the player, not in doubt.
But isn't that, like these kind of middle tier Man City midfielders? So let's put the likes of Mahrez, Gundogan, Foden. Well, he was in. Who?
Doku.
He's retired, mate, Hazard.
Yeah. Doku. You own them. And because they're below that 8 million price point, if they get benched, you stomach it. But it's not the casual 6-pointer or 8-pointer that crops up every now and then. Once every 6 or 7 weeks, you get the 15, 20-pointer. And to capture that 15, 20-pointer, you either have to be super lucky with your timing or you just get one in and stick them in and hold it and stomach it, knowing that eventually you'll feast off it. And they're all at that price point that actually for a team like City, and they're that attacking, whether it's even Grealish, although he doesn't haul as much as the others, just buy him, stick him in, know that there's going to be plenty of twos, but when the big haul comes, you're laughing.
I think, though, when you look at what they've got next, we spoke about those 4 games, I think the chances are that Pep will probably want to go for control. It's what Luke Williams speaks about a lot. City's want for control, particularly against the better opponents. Now, it might be that when we look at 16, 17 and we're looking at Luton away and Palace at home, it might be, I'll have a look at Doku for a couple of weeks. But I suspect I'd be really surprised if Doku started all those 4. And to be honest, I'd be surprised if he started more than 2. Because I think they want to go with Grealish's control. They knew yesterday they would 100% have control of that game and be able to play high territorially. You think about playing against Tottenham and Liverpool in a couple of weeks and Trent and Pedro Porro moving into midfield positions, and then you're asking Doku to follow that, possibly, or at least pass it on. So Pep, I speak about this all the time, he is defensive first in his thinking, and I think he'll consider that in the next few games. So I personally would expect Grealish to play. What I would add as a caveat, though, is in that Brighton game, he held that touchline and he was always the outball. I spoke about him leaving 1v1, be Milner and just take him on and burn him. That wasn't the case yesterday, where he kept coming off the touchline. The perfect case is obviously Bernardo Silva's first goal, where he's allowed him to have freedom and movement, and there he looks a great player. If you look at where his returns have come from, they're in different areas to what we've seen in that Brighton game. And I think I like the Mahrez comparison because I think he's a wild card option that City will really benefit from having, because a lot of them are samey in the sense it's control, it's safety first. This guy is like a box of tricks.
Yeah, I think we've just seen that he can do a bit of everything. That's what I like, is that it could be crosses for assists, it could be some trickery. He can finish. He scored good goals. I mean, we've seen it against my own team when he equalised so early in the second half. I think he's got a bit of everything. And good value. Like, his price is the cheapest of all of them as well, right?
Yeah, but to be honest, even with the haul, I would sit there right now and I'd have been considering selling. I'd be grateful for the points and I'd be looking to move it on. I'm just not convinced how much he'll start in the next few. Might have that wrong. I expected to be sitting here and absolutely sweating through the lack of Alvarez and Haaland points and what Salah would have done. And it just doesn't even feel like... No one's got nothing, so it doesn't even feel like it's worth discussing now.
No.
How have we dodged that?
It happens. It's not. The thing is, just think about it. Anything is a freak occurrence. It happened last year, right?
Doku created one more chance than Alvarez.
It happened last year.
Got 4 assists.
With Salah, 9-0, Liverpool, Bournemouth, and he didn't get a single return. So it's not like the first time where we've all gone and captained the player against Bournemouth. It happens to be same opposition, and they haven't returned. And what happened? Nothing. We move on, right? There's another game week next week. It'll be forgotten pretty quickly.
What are you thinking on the 2 players, though, seriously, for FPL? Haaland?
I'm not selling Haaland anywhere. I'm not selling Haaland. Unless he's out injured, I don't think I'll be selling Haaland.
You don't have Mo?
I know I don't have Mo.
Who's your captain next week?
I don't know yet. I'll have to...
Yeah, I know that will be the answer for the Salah owners. Solanke, yeah, sure. Sounds a bit wanky to me. I said that. So, wanky Matty Cashy and all that shit. And,
no, it's just... I captained Watkins last week and he let me down. He didn't score. I don't think he cares about me.
I quite like the fact that Watkins has blanked twice and then maybe captain him.
And then this week, obviously he hasn't returned again. So going for him next week, it's a home fixture against Fulham, and they have been good at home, Aston Villa, so it might have to be Watkins.
Fulham are stingy though, aren't they?
They are, that's the thing.
Hired by anybody, do they?
No.
At the moment...
I don't mind Son, by the way, against Wolves away.
No, not so keen. Keen on Sonny, but not from captaincy. For me, it's between Haaland and Saka.
Okay.
Saka at home to Burnley. I may still go Haaland at Chelsea, subject to his fitness and what I see of Chelsea tomorrow night. So at the moment, it's still sitting on Haaland. I almost feel like, what am I going to do? Gamble against him? Oh, it's a tough fixture. Like, he can't return and stuff. Like, he can. It's almost like I'm smacking. If I've taken this path of going just Haaland versus Salah, basically, and I've not really seen the benefits of it yet, it almost feels like I'm smacking my face going, wow, it's Chelsea. I don't want to captain him again this week. But, like, how's my confidence in Saka against Burnley, despite what I've said about Burnley, doesn't feel as strong as it felt about Saka versus Sheffield United a couple of weeks ago.
Go Bowen.
How have I gone?
Go Bowen at home to
Saka against Sheffield United scored 5.
Yeah.
Haaland against Bournemouth scored 6 and got 1 assist. And the only person who thinks I should have got that assist is Mark Summers.
Bowen at home to Nottingham Forest?
Not for captain.
No.
But
Sham.
Look at this guy. Avoid West Ham, captain my player. Make your mind up.
Go on. If you do it, I'll do it. This is on air. Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't own Saka, so for me, I'll get 0 chances for an entire season to captain a West Ham player.
Alvarez, what you thinking?
As an alternative, only if we know Haaland isn't going to play, but we won't know that, so probably not.
It's probably the most... I'm going to wait. I think let's get the Champions League games out of the way and fitness doubts and stuff. But, yeah, I think I might go to Nketiah. I think it does give me a headache moving forward, but I just think Burnley at home, exactly what's been said and stuff. And to be honest, once I put him in, he becomes a candidate, I think. I read a stat, and I don't know if it's true. I didn't check it out because I'm useless.
Where'd you read it?
On
Daily Star?
On the...
Viz. Go on.
When I was looking for the dodgy streams at 3 o'clock yesterday as well, sorry.
Are we talking about football still?
Yeah, we're talking about football, yeah.
Just checking.
Hopefully, maybe. I've read he hasn't scored away from home for a year, I saw.
Saka?
Nketiah.
Oh, Nketiah. Okay.
Now, that don't matter. It's coming Saturday.
Would that be league goals?
But...
do you have a correspondent?
Any Arsenal fans got... Pritchard's here. Go on, Pritchard.
Ooh, quiz time.
Tom Cantwell, go on.
Let's agree that it's a stat.
Someone can check it out during the
Yeah,
break.
Eddie Nketiah hasn't scored an away goal for a year.
Anyway, if I put him in, I think he's going to start against Burnley. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? From captaincy.
I think I might end up bottling it and defaulting to Haaland because we saw it with the Man United last week, right? He can score against any team, anytime. Chelsea, you're right, have been a bit stubborn defensively. I want to see how they play against Tottenham tomorrow. If Tottenham can create a lot of chances, I'm going to trust City to create a lot of chances.
I suspect City won't have it as easy at Stamford Bridge as they did at Old Trafford. Can't do, surely.
No, it's going to be difficult.
The result could be the same, but they can't have it that easy.
No, but Haaland doesn't need a lot, and he did have a chance in the first half. I did say defensively as well, the sloppy goal that they want to concede will come. It didn't come as late as the 80th minute, but they 3-0 up. City's standard leaking a stupid goal happens.
The defensive assets are just a complete ignore. They played John Stones as the central centre-back and stationary there yesterday. Kyle Walker played a really advanced position from the right-hand side, completely moving forward as well. It chops and changes. I suspect over these forthcoming games, I would imagine over these forthcoming games, you'll go back to Walker, Diaz, Stones, and then it'll be Gvardiol or Aki, depending on how he feels. Like he'll probably play Aki against Salah, for example. But he might think Gvardiol suitable for that. But yeah, no interest defensively at the moment, unfortunately, which is a shame. I'd love to. If I had to go there, it'd be Stones, because I think I spoke about this last week. He's so crucial to them now.
Yeah, Stones goes in there. Stones, I've got two players now, Stones and Botman, that I've owned twice this season. So it's Botman twice, Stones once. Although I started the season with Stones because we didn't know that he was injured. And they've not played a minute for me. And outside of that, they've started picking up points. Pretty frustrating.
Terrific.
I'm not going to go to Man City defensively.
For Bournemouth, one of the things I did notice looking at things last night is the fixtures going into 18 are good. Who have they got in game week 18, Suj?
We did talk about using them as fillers.
Is it Forest or Palace? Who are Bournemouth playing in 18? No, that's this week, pal. But the upcoming fixtures
Cherries
are good.
Forest away. Forest away.
Who have they got?
Forest away, City ground.
Forest away. And what's the fixture in 17?
That's the same Forest that you told me haven't lost. I've only lost 2 games at home in a year. But just 1 at home.
Who have they got in 17 the week before Bournemouth? It's a good fixture as well. Luton at home, thank you, yeah. So it might land there, and you look at someone like him and think, that's a 2-week punt possibly, for example, Dominic Solanke. I'm concerned the Bournemouth fan who's drunk in front of me says no. I'm concerned. Some of us are wild carding them, mate. Yes, I'm not interested. Alex Scott is obviously, as Neil's there, who's less drunk, our Bournemouth correspondent. He's a blow. On top, we know Adams is out now till February as well. They obviously played basically 5-4-1 yesterday, Neil. Yeah, sat in, and once it went 1-0, game's done and stuff. Judging Bournemouth on yesterday's irrelevant. It's not important. It's the fixtures coming up. But those midfield injuries, I think, are pretty concerning because it doesn't allow Iraola to do the things that he wanted to do with the team. So you're in difficulty, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know at the moment, unfortunately.
Good. James, we are halfway through the games. We're going to take a short break here because being in a room full of people that have been drinking alcohol, everybody needs to maybe use the bathroom and take a break. Or actually go back to the bar and top up your glasses. Don't forget, it's 20% off.
Cheers,
8
guys.
o'clock, 15 minutes. We're going to come back. Cheers, bye.
Everyone, be careful outside the front of the pub is the message.
Right, guys, we're going to get started with the second half of the Planet FPL podcast. Obviously, here at Planet FPL Live 4, James. We have 4 more games left to review, after which we're going to maybe get some time to squeeze in some questions. We have a roving microphone, which will go around to everybody, so you can ask your questions, and it will be hopefully picked up on the speakers as well. Just a shout out to everybody that's come out to support Planet FPL Live 4 as well before we into the games. So many of you come out today. We've had the whole floor of the pub packed out. There are definitely a few people that we want to thank. But firstly, everybody that's come and bought a ticket and supported it. All of the proceeds are going to Gameweek 39, which we've been happy to support for the last 2 years. We're going to be doubling the amount. I don't know if Clayton knows exactly what it is, but it's over 250 quid. I know that much. So we're going to be looking at matching that to make it 500 quid for Gameweek 39. So everything you've done helps and supports that. We should thank the venue, James.
Very much so, yeah. It's all the staff here at the Thirsty Bear.
Burgers have been decent. And also, the reason we're using this venue is FPL Meets. No, Nima's gone. So Nima said that we have to give
gone?
all of the love, all of the praise, all of the cuddles need to go to FPL fella Dan on behalf of Meets.
He's also
gone as well. All right, fine. Sham just you take all of the love. But FPL Meets, obviously organising meetups all around. The next one is here on Saturday, November the 25th. So I don't know what games are on, but it's on a Saturday.
I'll tell you City and Liverpool and Brentford, Arsenal.
Okay, that's 12 o'clock all the way through till the evening. So if you want to support FPL Meets, go and follow them on Twitter and come down to the event as well, because they did a great job of helping us push this event, James.
Who else do we need to thank?
Correspondents for coming down.
Correspondents for coming down. Correspondents for always being around. Sort that out, please, mate.
It's quite loud over there. Is it the speaker, Nico?
I think it might be. Douche. Okay, cool. Who else do we need
Correspondents.
to thank?
And also, apart from me, obviously, Nico. Coming down, cameraman.
Man-child for not coming.
But I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, this man popped up on Twitter. I didn't actually know he's, I think after working with us for however long, he's finally had to join Twitter, or x.com now. So I think everybody should go on Twitter and find Nico_Semedo. Nico the icon. Let's get him from 5 followers to 10 followers. Oh. And let's get you from 5 followers to 10 followers on Twitter. You got 20. Okay, let's get him from 20 to 25 then. And also Clayton, the fourth wheel, the only way that the car goes, James. Shout out to Clayton for coming down as well. 4 games that we got to get into.
Can we sort the sound out first?
I don't know.
Just do my head in, mate.
I'm not a technical guy. This is where we need magic. Holy shit.
It's not that one. Hello.
Come on, Nico. Hello. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes, well done. Everyone's dead now, but well done.
Okay, good. We've got to a point where we can talk about the games, James.
Okay, let's go.
Sheffield United 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1.
So are you going to admit they're going to beat Derby's point total now?
That was the first thought that went through my mind was, shit, my prediction that they're going to get less than 11 points is now looking a bit rubbish. Let's get into the controversy straight away. Penalty or no penalty for you?
Just to piss off the Wolves fans, penalty, yeah. No, it's not. What? It's not.
Yeah, I've not seen anything so... Well, we've seen plenty of soft penalties given, but it just did not look like it was much contact in there. They kind of just clattered into each other a little bit.
It's not a penalty. It's not as bad as the one against Newcastle the week before, but it's not a penalty.
No.
Listen, they're going on there's contact. Let's go with that because they touched each other. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? He's not as bad as the Newcastle one the week before, but yeah, it's not a penalty. Fabio Silva was the second really cheap striker to go off the pitch crying this week because it was obviously him giving the penalty away. But
sick way to lose a game, though. Horrible way to lose a game.
Yeah, but Wolves also were in control for the majority of the first half. And then, to be honest, the game changed in the second half. Ryan Brewster went off just before half-time with a hamstring injury, and they brought on James McAtee instead. And I think it forced a change of system. And Sheffield United were better for that, because I think they were getting run about too much, having 2 out-and-out forwards earlier in the game. But it's bad from Wolves. And I spoke to you on Friday, Suj, about their performance at Luton when they should have lost as well. So they've just gone to Luton and Sheffield United and played really badly, and all their other games either side of it have been really good. So there might be a little bit of a mentality issue there. They play my team this week, and to be honest, they've taken, 5 points from City, Villa, Newcastle the last 3 home games. This is obviously a challenging game, but yeah, not a good performance. And a little bit self-inflicted in terms of the fact that they lost in the end. Neto, obviously, clearly a miss. Hwang went to the right, which I'd warned last week might happen. Bellegarde, I think, will come into the team against Tottenham. Has obviously come on and scored at the weekend. They'll give my team a tough game. They feel like they might be a bit, they're going to be difficult to play at their place, but they'll possibly be weak when teams play them at home. That's how I feel about them at the moment. For Sheffield United, I'm pleased for them because all of us have battered them recently, and it's probably been warranted.
FPL Blade is our Sheffield United correspondent. His live tweeting during games is probably the best of all the correspondents in terms of like the emotional roller coaster of he goes from hating them to Brian Brewster's the worst signing in the history of the entire football club. Cameron Archer's rubbish. Thank God Aston Villa have to take him back from us or
Triple
whatever.
captain this weekend.
Yeah, exactly that. To suddenly, look, McAtee is a hell of a player and they're going to survive and probably qualify for Conference League.
The thing is, though, like
all in the space of 90 minutes.
They are how close to the other three teams around them, right? It's what, a 27-game season, and to be honest, whichever one of the three of them shows the most consistency will probably end up staying up. And they might be one of the better ones defensively. Like Bournemouth and Burnley's style is they're going to be more open. Sheffield United and Luton know what they are. Yeah. So do I think they'll stay up? No. Tomo is on COTC this week.
Okay,
which
you can ask. We know Tomo knows we love him, but yesterday was Brewster's officially the worst signing ever. Sack Heckingbottom at half-time. Archer is on his heels, not anticipating anything. You won't see a worse Premier League game this season than this one ever. To, wow, what a finish from Archer. love football with the vomiting money emoji repeatedly. We've won a fucking game, Capitals, the Blades. So the roller coaster of it continues, but I think he'd rather be in it and feeling the emotions than not.
He knows what they are this year,
exactly,
and they're probably not going to be good enough. But they're in contention. He's on COTC with Sam, who's pissing himself laughing at the back, presumably because he thinks, well, we got to win this one after 5 games without a win in a row. That'll be out for you on Thursday.
Yep. Controversial decision in that Sheffield United game. There was another controversial decision in the evening game, James.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a very clear how you feel about that decision. You can tell a lot about somebody, either from who they own in FPL or where their allegiances lie from a Premier League point of view, very, very clearly. But Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0, and that doesn't change regardless of what we want to think of the controversies, right? The result is the result. Oh, yeah. We're going to do it. We're going to talk about the controversial goal and get it out the way. For me, the ball, you can't say conclusively went out or didn't. The foul was a foul because it's 2 hands on his back, and I don't think the offside was offside. But again, I don't know. So I would have not given the goal
near enough
for 1 out of the 3, which is the foul.
Yeah, the ball looks out. I think where Arsenal are unlucky
depends where you look
you
at
can't prove that the ball goes out, which is why they have to stay with it. But what I would say is 9 times out of 10, the linesman will put their flag up because to the naked eye, it looks like it's out. So invariably, the game would normally stop there. Now, Arsenal were silly in the fact they haven't reacted properly. From there, I think Gabriel tries to head the ball backwards, but yes, there are 2 hands from Joel Linton leaning onto him, so I certainly think normally that would be a foul. The offside you can't give because literally it's inconclusive. Yep. So it comes down to, does Joel Linton foul Gabriel or not? And I think most of the time the answer is yes, it probably is a foul.
It stops him jumping with 2 hands on his back.
I also don't fucking care.
Before we get on to the tactics of the game, and while we're talking about refereeing, obviously the yellow cards and the tone of the game was questioned. Bruno Guimaraes questioned again as well.
Bruno Guimaraes particularly was very lucky not to be sent off. He's front of mind
because I remember the bad tackle he made in our game as well. So he seems to be getting away with it a little bit at the moment.
It all seemed to start from Havertz's tackle, which was... I mean, the way he lunged in, he was also lucky. It's an orange in itself. Although quite clever, because he managed to get 3 Newcastle players booked for dissent, which is probably his best contribution so far in an Arsenal shirt. Although, in fairness, and Clayton, I think, would agree with this, he was better as the right-sided 8 than the left yesterday. Might be coincident, I don't know. But at the same time, Odegaard was missed.
I felt like you were telling him rather than asking him. You know,
Am I right or wrong? Oh. That's how I know that, because I read his tweet. Okay. I also watched the game. It felt quite attritional. It was, I think Claire summed it up. I quite enjoyed it in the sense that they were knocking 10 bells out of each other. It's like, yeah, go on then. But and it was 2 teams I think were more concerned about not losing than winning. The reality is Arteta can sit there in his press conference and moan all he likes. His team didn't do enough. From 1-0, it never looked like Arsenal were going to score. And never really liked scoring before that. That said, other than the goal, Newcastle never particularly looked like scoring either. It looked like what I said I thought it would be all week, so 0-0.
Yep.
And I think these two are probably, to relate it back to FPL, these are the 2 teams I think you can trust most defensively in the league throughout, pound for pound. So those on trips, it's interesting. I keep hearing trips owners saying they're thinking of selling, and I keep hearing non-trip owners saying they're thinking of buying. That's what I keep hearing. It's like, I've got him, I might sell him. I haven't got him, I need to get him.
I've got him, I'm going to keep him.
So, yeah, I think it's that.
For fear.
I think it's that. But for me to go and invest, I'm still not sure over this kind of short window period if I might be better off just going with share at a couple of million cheaper. Can't go for Dan Burn at the moment. I've said to you last week about with Lascelles, like great at 4.0, but if he's not available for Gameweek 18, it's bad.
Pointless, doesn't help you.
It's bad for me under my strategy. Might not be for you, but for me under my strategy, looking to wildcard after that, I'm going to need it. So it might be that it's Fabian Schär is the next defensive move that I make. Gabriel owners should stick. No one's going to sell their Arsenal players this week. I think Saka and
I don't feel FOMO of missing out on an Arsenal midfielder at the moment. Maybe because I got away with it last week where they scored 5 and I didn't own any and none of them returned anyway.
I would still want definitely Bukayo Saka in the team this week with Burnley.
I'd rather,
Against
I don't
Charlie
feel pressure.
Taylor, he'll turn him inside out, mate.
What do you think of the manager's comments after the game? I'm going to read them to you.
Oh, go on, make me laugh.
Word for word.
In fact, let's let the audience laugh. Go.
Let's go for it. I'm going to read them out and then I'm interested in your thoughts.
This is
obviously
such a prick.
This is obviously Arteta, yeah? They are trying to make the best decisions. We need to understand that mistakes sometimes happen. That's Arteta. He says the match officials deserve support in situations that errors occur.
That's after Tottenham
hang
Liverpool.
on. That was the Diaz offside incident straight away afterwards.
Yeah. So when it suits, right?
Yeah, exactly.
My best bit in the press conference yesterday.
I understand the raw emotion, though. Don't get me wrong. I'm not calling him out for having double standards.
But
the emotions
to be honest,
you're going to say.
Even the TV interview I get, but then to process for the press conference he's had longer. He goes in and he gets asked twice, which one of the 3 decisions did you think was the reason why the goal shouldn't stand? He just refuses to answer it. He just keeps going, it's a disgrace, it's a scandal and all that. Literally just do what most of you agreed with and go, it's probably a foul on Gabriel. And that's it. Or even if he'd said then went, all of them. But the fact that he refused to acknowledge the question just sounded like it was going around the bend and trying to deflect away from his team. Listen, Arsenal losing at Newcastle, anyone could lose there this year. It's not like a terrible result. It's their first defeat of the season. They're still well in contention. Those next 4 fixtures for them are a joke.
Yeah,
I want to be on treble, really. Saliba to Gabriel is never going to happen. Well. I'm fairly certain Gabriel will stay in the team now, but I carry Saliba. Yeah. I've got Saka. There's every chance I'll add and catch up. So was it Burnley away, Burnley at home, Brentford away, Wolves at home, Luton away?
It's the 2 home ones that are particularly interesting for them.
Yeah.
Without doubt, yeah. You're not worried about Arsenal as an Arsenal fan. They lost 2 games. They're not playing... I mean,
you must be talking to someone else. What?
You're not worried about Arsenal from...
Am I worried about them?
Not from an FPL point of view. In terms of, if you were an Arsenal fan, would you be thinking that it's not quite right at the moment?
I think there's a creativity problem at the moment, which needs ironing out, where a few people are getting accustomed to playing in the system, like Havertz. And actually, in seriousness, it was probably his best game for Arsenal yesterday. But Odegaard was a miss. I think he's had a disappointing period. There feels too much reliability at the moment on the wide players and their individual qualities to beat people on the outside or come in and get involved and contribute offensively for them. I thought Declan Rice was outstanding, by the way. I thought he was so good yesterday, absolutely brilliant. but others around him aren't quite hitting that ceiling at the moment. And listen, Arsenal peaked unbelievably early this year. If they end up peaking in March, April this year, it might be to their benefit. There's a creativity issue, but I think these 4 fixtures might be the solve of the problem. And I think they'll do very well in the next 4. I would be very surprised if they don't get at least 10 points from the next 4.
Today's games, James, which we've watched here at the Thirsty Bear. So first up, Nottingham Forest 2, Aston Villa 0. Didn't see this coming. I'm tripled up on Villa. You're doubled up on Aston Villa. But we did mention to me in the preview show that they only lost 2 games at home in the league in the last year. What was it, Man United and Leeds, did you say?
Newcastle.
And Newcastle. Obviously, those are 2 good teams in the Champions League. So their home record is undeniable, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 2 defeats, 21 or so, Mark, I think, at home. And they do feel like a very different team home in a way. It felt like that last year as well. They've obviously added goals. I think it was a really big win for them because it was the first win since Chelsea, Mark, I want to say. Yeah. And that's coincided with what Mark had discussed when he came on COTC after the first international break, was like trying to evolve to a style that would be better looking for the supporters. That's tried to happen, but in the meantime, he hadn't won a game. So then the pressure starts building. Now, today was more like the resilient Forest that has done so well to get those home results against good teams such as Brighton, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, all last year. I think
I'm
Forest
so
got
happy
10 points from that 4, I think.
I've got Turner there that I can use instead of Areola.
What's the name of Forest's replacement goalkeeper?
Chakademus and Pliers.
What's the name of the Forest goalkeeper?
I call him Chakademus and Pliers.
What's the name of the Forest goalkeeper?
I don't know.
Flacademos, which is really going to confuse Suj when he goes to the FPL website. It says Odysseys. Anyway, Turner probably isn't going to get his place back. And we suspected this would probably happen for a little while.
Well, it's a clean sheet, so you're not going to drop a goalkeeper after keeping a clean sheet.
Arteta might.
You think.
Yeah, there you go. Arteta might. Raya, by the way, obviously won't play at Brentford in game week 13. Which is something just to note because the loan agreement.
I saw Ramsdale on Wednesday, and he
saw him on Wednesday.
West Ham, and he was not up to much. So I don't think it's much of a.
Yeah, when I said I thought Arsenal would get 10 points on the next 4, I was thinking draw at Brentford.
I'm sure he said in a press conference he's got 2 number 1s. He should have said he's got 2 number 2s at this stage. That's a bit mistake laden.
Might need to flush that the first time. No, good win for Forest, which I think was it 2 shots on goal you had, Mark? Was that it? He wasn't counted. 2 shots on goal. If anybody was getting here,
that matters goals.
Someone's cheering about it. He was cheering the Forest goals. I think Villa actually played all right, I thought, but it was at the top end.
3 shots on target.
Didn't
give credit where it's due.
Oh, sorry, 3 shots on target. I thought Villa played all right, but it was kind of overthinking. It was the RB effort. It was like, why are you trying to lay it off? Just shoot. Obviously, if Cash is out, then obviously things are going to change. The way they dealt with it today was they went back to that lean of the left side bias, pushing Dean obviously further forward. Now, admittedly, they were chasing the game at that point, but they kind of used Kamara to cover in at right back while they did that. Moreno's obviously close to fitness as well. If Cash is out for a while, it might even be right time that Moreno just goes straight back in and they change. I don't think Watkins, Diaby owners, Douglas Luiz, whatever, shouldn't be concerned. It's Fulham next. And then Bournemouth away, or they come to my team, didn't they? To Tottenham in 13. So it might be a decision to make after this week. I've currently in my schedule or my planner on FPL team, I've got Watkins benched against my team in 13, which has an inevitable conclusion if I end up doing that. I am conscious of Villa's 2 games with Arsenal and City respectively in 15-16, but more conscious of Villa playing Sheffield United at home in 18 to know, again, I might just end up, after the Fulham game, just sticking with the consistency of Cash and Watkins and covering them through. Forest, I think fair to say no interest at the moment, really, Mark? Is there anything?
Awani back.
Awani's back fit. And again, they've got decent fixtures. Obviously, they're 18 fixtures. Bournemouth at home. So it might be a 1 week punt to be had there. I think Mark's coming on before they play Everton, which is a good fixture in Gameweek 14 as well. Toffolo, I thought, played really well today, actually, Mark. And I think that defensively, he's been a bit of a problem. He might continue now at left back, but I cannot make the case, really, to get involved with them offensively. Clay, so have you still got Gibbs White, mate? Fucking hell.
It was listeners won't have. They might have called that on the microphone. Maybe we'll get it on the camera. But it wasn't just the yes. It was the joy of Yama, like our own Morgan Gibbs, right? And I'm proud. And I'm proud. It was just the joy in your voice that said, "Yes, I do."
Clayton sold up, man.
It's not something to be proud of.
He's got 2 attacking returns and they're against Manchester United. That doesn't even count. Yeah, get rid. Move that on. Good win for Forest though, and they're obviously comfortably clear of that bottom four at the moment. The injury news on Cash, I think, is obviously important. I think because of the 2 blanks, Watkins is probably not the captaincy option next week that he was last week, and Fulham are obviously a much better defensive outfit than Luton in any case. Yep.
Last but not least, Luton won, Liverpool won.
The cheering here when Luton scored was absolutely great. But that's because there's nothing against Liverpool. I know we've got a few Liverpool fans here. Everybody loves the underdog story. And actually, if you've watched the 4 live games this weekend, I can't think of a weekend where I've watched 4 less entertaining Premier League games as a collective. I mean that seriously.
Greatest league in the world.
None of them were terrible, but none of them were great either. No. But in Liverpool that moment, you thought that's the moment of the weekend. I think Adam Pritchard was saying to me when Luton scored, "Is this the biggest Premier League shock of all time if they'd have held on?" Bedfordshire
massive. People that don't know.
Ricky I'm assuming Ricky doesn't want that ticket for the title decider at the Etihad in a couple of weeks.
There are plenty of live events where Ricky's ended up in Luton instead of Bedford. Today you might do it. You might do it on purpose today and go and join Ash from Juice up there. Someone give Ricky Juice's number and he can go up and celebrate with the Luton massive, Bedfordshire massive.
What's a numpty? We have to remember as well, Luton have got 3 centre-backs out injured, all with hamstring injuries at the moment. They had moments in the game. Now, Liverpool obviously had a lot of efforts, of which Darwin Núñez, I don't know how many teams he's outshot this weekend, but it's probably a few, I should imagine. Palace won 2-0 and Darwin Núñez had more than double the shots of Crystal Palace. That moment with the miss, where we actually had Nico. We've got a faller.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, so when we do this again, we might have to do it a little bit earlier.
7 shots, Darwin Núñez. 3 on top. 7. 3 on top. 9.
You're 9. 9
shots!
Okay, if you include the blocked ones. So I was getting on target, off target. 3 on target.
You had 9 shots overall. Owie's not scored. And Salah obviously would have had the assist for the open goal that he's missed. Going to be one of the misses of the season, if not the. I think Salah's going for goal. Does anyone don't think Salah was heading for goal? So he's ended up with a lucky assist, and then Núñez has missed it as well. Otherwise, Salah didn't look like returning today, to be honest. I don't think that's anything that Salah owners should be concerned about. I thought Ryan Gravenberch played quite well during the second half. But I think what's interesting about it is obviously Shimikas is probably the headline one in the end. Didn't start. And he played Joe Gomez. And obviously, I think we were all speculating, he played Joe Gomez because of the aerial, right? A little bit more if Luton want to play diagonals to that side. I bet Jurgen Klopp weren't thinking Andros Townsend was going to play out there.
No.
Because if he did, I think he'd have played Shimikas.
Yep.
So Andros Townsend, you'll never see one win a header ever. Ricky and I know that from his time together at Tottenham. So there was no chance of Luton playing diagonals into him. And yet, ironically, as his boy, Issa Kabore, and many others. We got any Kabore owners here? Yeah. Did anyone actually have him? Have you got him in the team this week in the end? Third bench.
Nico, meet Trophy Mo.
Okay.
You and Nico both, mate.
It's only beautiful as from Black Box who was getting Kabore in his team. Has ended up creating the goal, which is really well taken by Chong. It's a brilliant breakaway. I'm not having it. It's a penalty. Yes, it hits the back of Ross Barkley's arm, but he's not even facing the play. And I think he only brushes it. They tried to show a still on the camera. It was like, oh, it's like a solid hit. The ball carried on going through. So don't think it was a penalty. Luton's breakaway was really good. It's not the sort of goal that we've seen from them this year. And I think it just shows, again, what I've been saying to you, that they've got variety and they'll stay competitive in a lot of these games. That's an awful result for Liverpool, really, under the circumstances. With off the period of having really good results, like, other than, I think, how many points were they on? 24 or so.
Put up
We've had a really, really good start. That's the first.
24 points for Liverpool now, off 11 games.
If you're behind City, this is what we spoke about for Liverpool. They had to get to
3
this
points
point.
behind.
Because their fixtures in the first 8 or so were tougher than City's, if they got beyond that, they would be in contention. Then from the contention point, you've got to take advantage. Now, they've won other games, but they weren't overly impressive against Everton. I think Forest didn't put up the best performance last week when they went there. Drawing with Luton, you just know under those circumstances today, I think City win. And to be honest, I'd feel like Arsenal would as well. So someone was saying to me during the game, I think it might be Rory even, my Palace correspondent was like, you just always would have felt in the past that Liverpool would get the goal.
Yeah.
Now that said, the way they've improved this year, I think they've ironed out problems that they had last year, particularly in the midfield area. But I never overly felt during the game, despite sitting here as a non-Salah owner and having brown trousers, I never actually truly felt that Liverpool were hurting Luton. And I think Luton got to a period in the game where their legs were gone. But they got the breakaway goal, and then your legs get something from somewhere because you've got something to hang on to.
I don't know, every time Nunes got the ball, I did think, all he needs to do is hit the target.
In seriousness, how he's not returned in that game is astonishing.
He's crazy.
He's one hell of a points dodger, but I wish he was in my FPL team at the same time, to be honest.
A run will come for him. I think a run will come for him where he will score consistently.
Salah owners, you captain next week? Yes. Seems like yes is all round. Okay, cool. Nice touch, obviously, with Luis Diaz.
I was going to say the story of the weekend.
And it was interesting. Despite the fact most people in here were obviously cheering when Luton scored, I saw there was a little break of applause after Diaz scored and stuff. So fair game to him rocking up and scoring that goal. And it's got Liverpool out of a pickle. But to be honest, the standard at the top is so bad. You can't not win these games. Even to be honest, I know I've joked about my team a lot on this, but we battered them for 10 minutes, didn't score, went down to 10 men and come out there with the points. And you forget about it. Yeah. You forget that we went to Luton and won. You forget that we went to Palace and won. And it's ugly. Liverpool, to win the league, have got to find the ugly wins this year.
Yeah, difficult. Obviously, we've got one more game left this weekend. Tomorrow, Tottenham-Chelsea. You'll be there.
Obviously.
Cheering on the boys.
I think Chelsea will play about 5. Yeah. By the way, I think they'll probably go 5-3-2 and probably play Palmer and Sterling up front. Reece James will play. I think they'll play Cucurella left, and I think they'll probably play Silva in between Disasai and Colwell. And I think what they'll try and do, I think they'll probably try and use Palmer and Sterling to come into our fullbacks. As it stands, I don't think Udogie will play. But I don't have any particular information on it. I obviously hope he does play because he's still sitting in my team, and also I want him to play.
You started him though as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I've got Saliba's 2 if Udogie doesn't play. Oh my God, I got robbed of Saliba clean sheet points. I'm so heartbroken.
Yeah, I've got it down as still a 3-1 home win for Spurs. You predicted 1-0, didn't you?
I've said, same with Newcastle and Arsenal and Tottenham, Chelsea said a week. I think those 2 games will be low scoring. And to be honest, I don't think it'll be a thriller tomorrow night from a neutral perspective. So that's not to say you can go to the garden centre, by the way. It's cold and it's late. Watch it. Yeah, I don't think we'll get beat.
Lovely jubbly. Good. That is a wrap of the games, James. We usually will give a plug of... we've got time for some questions as well.
We've got what?
We've got time for a couple of questions. Before we do, I'm going to ask you a question that I ask you on the show every week, and I actually have no idea this week what you're going to say. But do we have a schedule this week? Is it dependent on...
Literally, I was talking to Tom Candle outside from Who Got the Assist, and I was like, I don't know what the schedule is this week. Oh, I'll do a stream. That fixes it. So I think mind you, we're going to do this Q&A.
We are.
We're doing this Q&A?
Yeah.
We'll put this Q&A out on Tuesday that we're going to do with the audience here. Wednesday, Sky Fantasy. Thursday, Clash of Correspondents with Sam Murray at the back and Ben Tomo Thompson, Brighton, Sheffield United. Friday will be not the deadline stream. No deadline stream this week because I will be in Wolverhampton on Saturday lunchtime. Watching, hopefully, still the only unbeaten team in the Premier League. Our Patreon podcast this week are Q&A on Monday. Tuesday, Clayton will be with me for the UCL Fantasy Match Day 4 preview. Tottenham on Wednesday. Wednesday, where we do a deep dive into West Ham being shit and Tottenham's game against Chelsea. Thursday, Money and Football on Dejvan Chansiri, the chairman of Sheffield Wednesday, who's setting that football club very much up the river at the moment. And Friday will be our Gameweek 12 preview show. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/PlanetFPL. Can I just get a cheer from anyone in here who's a Planet FPL patron?
Yeah. Oh.
Can I get a cheer from anyone in here who's not? Wankers.
Yeah, come and see James at the back afterwards.
Literally.
For your...
I've been thinking of doing that for about 72 hours, I swear.
To wrap, we've got time for probably 2 questions, James, I would say, before we wrap. And then we're going to take a short break for 15 minutes. And we're going to come back and do a half an hour kind of sort of however long it goes Q&A.
And you lot need to start thinking your questions, by the way.
And that's why I'm telling you to start questions. But we got one first up. Ricky,
we'll
go on. Right.
No, we'll do it. We're going to do a pod on it. Sit down, Tottenham, for once. Stand up, but sit down.
What's the question? Why? How do you know his question already?
No.
Okay, so let the man ask a question.
I think it's going to be who's the unbeaten team in the Premier League.
No. He's better than that.
Go on, Ricky, go on.
Tell us a question.
Who's the only unbeaten team in English football?
Wow.
Yeah.
Tottenham Hotspur, mate.
It depends how far down the leagues you want to go. Does anybody have an FPL question that they want to ask or anything to do with that?
Actually, yeah. Is there any... Because we don't want to do FPL for the bit afterwards.
Is Alvarez a sell next week?
Who? The question is Alvarez a sell? Well, I'm maybe turn catcher for me. So I think your circumstances, it's going to depend on your injuries as well, right? Yeah, if you've got him and Haaland and Cash are out, hypothetically, he's not going anywhere probably, right?
So. Everyone's been saying all season, or they were at the start of the season before Alvarez was straight in. If Haaland's out, that question's irrelevant. Right? Everyone's going to be thinking about armbanding him. He's one of the potential in the list. So I don't think you can make a decision to
look,
Haaland.
They're all coming with the FPL questions now. So.
Go on, Ben. It's fine. We've got time for a couple. We've got one there. Roberto.
Do you think Palace are a good team to sort of go for?
Yeah.
I think defensively, if you want to
Everton,
get on...
Was it Everton,
Gay,
Luton, West
those who are on
Ham?
Anderson will be delighted. I don't see people going Areola to Johnston, but I can see people would maybe go, I'll add Gay for this period,
I've got enough money to go to 4.5 from Tyreek Mitchell. So it gives me headaches.
Don't get Tyreek Mitchell, man.
No. Let me rephrase that. That was from Tariq Lamptey. I've got enough money to get to a 4.5 defender.
No, I wouldn't bother with that.
No. I'd probably go to Emerson. We can do that. There we go. That was the question. And Roberta's got one question.
How important is Brighton next week? Any Brighton attacker? How important?
Sheffield United.
No.
Because to be honest, as it stands at the moment, you couldn't even be sure they'd play, right? So with Brighton, you can't judge that till Thursday night. After they play in Amsterdam at Ajax. Sam, be out there. Safe trip, please, mate. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do in Amsterdam, mate. You know
Definitely don't do anything I wouldn't do in Amsterdam, mate.
But Mitoma, I'm on Mitoma. I'm delighted. I still think of the kind of sub 5.5s, Adingra is the one I'd want to invest in. But any investment in Brighton really can't be till Friday. More than any other team. I think if you wanted to go early on and Ketcher, you know the kind of risk. But as it stands, there's no reason to think he wouldn't play against Burnley. With the Burnley guys, the Brighton guys, the information Thursday just feels too important.
Sam, you going Amsterdam, yeah?
Of course he's going.
Are you over 18 now, yeah? Are you over 18 now?
Just about,
Yeah, let's have a chat. We're going to wrap this podcast because I've got to have a meeting with Sam, FPL Seagull. We've got to have a chat, mate.
Was there any actual decent Twitter ones? Or you given up on them?
Hang on a second. We're getting to the end of the show, and now you tell me that you put a tweet out for questions.
Of course, I always do.
I didn't even know you had a tweet out for questions. So if we run out of questions in the Q&A show that we do, which is for the Tuesday, we'll use those questions then. Everybody that's here, thank you so much for coming in and supporting the show. Honestly, it's the best part. Being able to do it live and meet people face to face, obviously, way better than anything else. There's every chance that the audio is absolutely shite, and it means that this is an exclusive because no one else will ever be able to listen to what happened tonight. But other than that, it just leaves me to say, stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. Play your way. Cue music, please, man child.
Burnley to win. 15, 20 minutes.
All off the chair glass.